Cody, you are the person who definitely is the one who works on personal legacy. You go through it because of your experiences, because of your the type of work you have been doing from early age. But I want to start with asking you, how do you feel you are different?
Oh gosh, loaded question, Matt. Loaded question. I think that for me, because of the experience I had in the work that I did, and for context for your listeners, I worked in the funeral business, and I am still to this day a licensed funeral director and embalmer. And when people think about that profession, first of all, there's an instant hesitation, like an immediate hesitation. They're either they want to repel very quickly, get away from it, or they want to lean into it. They want to know more. And typically the questions always circle around death. They believe that the experience I might have had was all about death. And certainly there's a reality to that. There's a truth to that. But what I learned from that profession was actually way, 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 way more about life. And I think that experience, I know that experience has shaped how I show up in the world. There's sort of this omnipresent reality that death can be like right there. It can be right there, and you never really know. And that's not to be macabre and dark, and that's not the point of it. The point of it is to say that when we can reflect on that reality briefly, even for a moment in time, we find that it can really propel us in life and living. Yeah. And that's sort of where the magic is. And so I would say if there's one thing unique about me, it's probably that I look through that lens every single day.
I think the funny example is what you're wearing in your pocket in front of you, which I love, actually. Nice accent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the skull is representative actually of life. If you look back to, for instance, Shakespearean times, the skull was always in relation to living. And when you think about even Stoic philosophy, really the Stoics meditated on their death so that they would live more fully. Yeah. Memento Mori. That's where that comes from. And so it's sort of a perpetual reminder for me, not about my mortality, even though that's the underlying sort of tone. It's actually to live a lot. Yeah. Proudly, with conviction. And with a lot of kindness. I think that's probably the most important thing that I try and put into my life every day.
It's so much to dig into, and I want to kind of dissect it in a way, which is a wrong word in your profession.
Well, we don't do any dissecting, so you're safe. You're safe.
So, with everyday legacy, you've got multiple elements that I love. You start with going about living your legacy on every day. Then you go through your own story and how you dealt with your father, or that tried to build that relationship, and actually it becoming a thing after his passing away. Then you've got the big part of your grandma, which was almost a parental figure, I would say.
Very much so. Yeah.
And then like ashram, touching by on the yogi, like the ego part, which is phenomenal, and I'm struggling with that every day.
Dude, we all struggle with that every day. That's not a you and now thing. That's an us and all the time thing. Truthfully, the ego is the ego's a beast inside of all of us, and it's something that I struggle with every day. One of the things I was really careful about when I wrote this book, and it's funny because I had two editors. And the editor that you can see in the book, her name is there. She was incredible. Actually, I had several editors, but the one that I'm thinking of was amazing. But initially, I had a different editor with a different publisher, and she was very academic in her approach. Which, hey, I appreciate academia, but at the end of the day, I didn't want the book to be prescriptive, and she was really trying to steer me into very specific lessons with very specific takeaways.
Okay.
And to me, that's not legacy. Legacy is incredibly personal. It's ultimately the grand summation of how you have shown up in the world. Mm-hmm. I just think that's a hell of a long time for us to even rationalize in our minds. And so for me, the whole idea of everyday legacy is compartmentalizing that, thinking about legacy every single day, hence everyday legacy. That legacy is when we think about them and how we're showing up in the world, it wants us naturally to deepen and widen our impact. And so when we do that consciously, I really believe that it propels more of that. And hopefully it's something good in the world, right? Kindness,
that's right.
Faith, trust, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter as long as it's positive. And the challenge is when we think about things on a macro level, they look like mountains to climb. Doesn't matter whether it's, things that are due for work, doesn't matter whether it doesn't matter, even something like legacy. Really, for me, legacy, I would say that the Trojan horse to legacy is really purpose and impact. So if someone who's listening is having trouble thinking about legacy because they're immediately going to that very North American view of death, which is death averse, I get it. It's fair. It's almost part of our culture in North America. Yeah. And it's not like that in the whole world. It's not like that in many places in the world. However, if that's where listeners' brains are going, just think purpose and impact. When we put purpose and impact in front of our face every single day, we can't not but want to chase that. And so, and when those things are multiplying and doing good things in the world and making people feel good, and what I believe is creating a ripple effect of causing those people to want to do more good as well. I mean, listen, the world's a tough place to live in right now for a lot of people. That's true. And I sit, I think probably both of us do, in a seat of privilege, given the country we live in. And there's a lot of people with a lot less in the world who face battles that we can't even imagine every single day. Yeah. And sometimes with not a lot of rest between those days. So I like to think that for what I can do in the world is just be a little kinder, be a little more patient, be a little more trusting, be a little more loving, whatever it is, whatever adjective you want to take and put in there. It's the adjective that is most important to you. It's the thing you want to do in the world. For me, it just happens to be the impact of kindness, really.
And I guess sharing the idea of making the impact and the legacy, the purpose itself every day, right? So
yeah, every single day. I think that is the challenge, and also the challenge. What I mean by that is it's challenging to think about it every single day, but it's also the challenge I give to myself every single day to think about. Yeah. And it starts as soon as I wake up. Every day when I wake up, I open my eyes and think, thanks for another day. That might sound macabre. Some people might think that's kind of dark. And truth be told, I don't really care what it means to other people. All that matters is that it means something to me. And when that causes me to show up more powerfully in the world, and by world, I don't mean the globe. I mean my world, the people in my world. That's another macro thing. We always talk about put more kindness into the world. Well, the world is a really big place, and one act of kindness is like a drop in the ocean, right? It really has a very local effect, and that's how I tend to think about legacy. Is the people that are within my circles. How am I showing up for them every single day? Because as a consequence of how I show up for them, I also show up for myself.
How you show up for them is the way you show up for yourself.